Friend, as we get to the end of the year, it's a great opportunity to just take a step back and really look at the progress that you've made, the big wins, the little wins, even the setbacks and failures, and what you learned from those. So this week, I'm sharing a video. By the way, my name is Cox Kaplan. I host a podcast called She Said, She Said, and I create content to hopefully enrich women's lives. So this week I'm sharing a little video retrospective with some moments that generated a lot of listener feedback and some moments that are just really special to me, things that maybe changed my perspective or gave me a different way of looking at things. And so I hope you'll check out this video and also dig a little deeper. Go back and listen to some of those episodes that I'm sharing clips from, because I was joined by some amazing, amazing guests over the course of the last year. Frankly, over the course of the last 8 years that I've been hosting this podcast. So I hope you'll check out this content, give the video a watch, and also go back and look at your own wins and really celebrate what you've accomplished over the course of the last year. In the meantime, friend, I wish you the happiest of holidays and a great start to your 2026. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Really like the benefit of being present in those moments. And so I think if we allow ourselves to be present in the moments, what happens is those experiences deposit things in us that ultimately change us, transform us, tweak us. And then we take that transformed, tweaked, changed person into the places and spaces we go. And so I'm robbing not only myself of an experience when I'm not present, but also those who I wish to impact or influence or help or teach or lead, because I've robbed myself of an experience because I wasn't present. Because in my mind, I'm thinking about the next thing and I'm thinking about the thing that happened before.
Part of what speaks to me, so deeply is not only just your incredible talent as a creative, but this ethos of the importance of celebrating the big stuff and the little stuff and maybe the sad stuff too, and finding a way to create joy and memory, to memorialize those amazing things that you have experienced in your life, which I think is such a beautiful ethos behind who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you. And I have to say, having run
Martha Stewart wedding. What do I really like about this? I never dreamed about weddings, or I never really, how did I end up here?
I mean, a law firm is like a classic model of this, right? You climb the ranks to partner, or you leave, and leaving is a failure, right? That's the unspoken part of that. So your only choice to call yourself ambitious is to climb the corporate ladder up, 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 up. And I don't think that's how ambition works, right? I think
imagine
ambition
being in that room and the things that you would be like terrified for someone to say to you, or the questions that you're terrified for them to ask. Instead of holding that all inside and feeling afraid, write those questions down and formulate your answers to them, right? What's keeping you up at night that you're afraid someone's going to ask or say to you? And then come up with workshop your answer, workshop your response. And the same is true for feedback. You can anticipate, hey, they might say this and I'm going to feel really hurt by that in the moment. Here's one thing that I could say, and you can kind of workshop your answer in advance. It is incredibly, incredibly helpful. And that's part of topic prep, right? Is thinking through what are the topics that could come up and how will it make me feel? How will it make them feel? What can I do to sort of make it less awful when the time comes?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did a lot of research about where the white space was in the market. And there hasn't been a wedding etiquette book written since the early 2000s. And so much has changed in our world.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It reinforces really clearly the importance of deep situational awareness. Like wherever you sit in the organization, at whatever level you are, it's really about understanding that and being super self-aware. How does somebody go about earning that experience capital?
So most of the time you think of the jobs that you have, but I think one of the things to think about are the underlying skills, because you're building a set of skills. Think of those as like the courses you take in school that arm you to have more and more opportunity and to be up for those promotions. And so it's not just the job you have, it's the set of skills that you can take in your backpack with you to continue progressing and creating opportunities for yourself.
But I pay less attention to our competitors than you might think. And the people that I look to as a competitor are not traditional department stores. You know, I look at new concepts that are emerging. I love to follow like Shop Cooper or Tuckernuck or people like that don't have any stores, and, you know, they're really online. But I feel like I'm constantly looking for what's new in the industry and trying to follow that. And it's a lot less about looking at my traditional competitors. Now, don't get me wrong. Like when I went to Charlotte, I was walking the mall and checking out what was happening in our other, you know, the other headers. But I tend to be significantly more inspired and look as competition to the new formats that are coming into existence. Or if somebody's built a really cool new retail concept in Atlanta,
That was a big conversation.
And you had never, okay, but I'm sort of stunned by this. You had never had this conversation with her before? This had never come up? Okay,
not at all.
That's strange to me. And
so what she said after the fact was the reason it never came up was that she wanted us to have careers where we had succeeded, failed, gotten in trouble, had other people tell us how to be a good employee. She said someone else had to be the one telling you, you're late to work, that's unacceptable. This is what you need to do to succeed in your quest for advancement. She said if you always worked for mom, we'd always have the mother-son thing.
One of my creative directors who helped me with it, whose name was Stephen Doyle and was brilliant, he was like, get all these titles away. You are about celebrating everything. And I'm like, that is it. And so from that, it just evolved. We had the books, and a couple of years ago,
you describe in the book something that I think will really surprise people, that she was so entrepreneurial. And I think people hear Mother Teresa and they think, okay, saint, you know, this incredible person, you know, someone to be admired and looked up to and a real inspiration for people, but an entrepreneur? Really?
Yeah.
Explain what you mean by that. So interesting.
I mean, I think she was the last to know she was, because when she set out, she was on her own. I mean, think about this, Laura. Here she is in this patriarchal country of India, a European nun, after the English had just left, and there was so much tension, the partitioning of India, the flood of refugees into the city, the famine from 42 and 43, the aftermath of the war, all of these factors. And then God asks her, she's convinced, he commands her to go and work with the poor in the streets. She had no money, she had no helpers, nothing. What she had were schoolgirls that she had taught and faith that she believed if God asked this, he'd equip her. But so she built it one by one by one. She the Bengali word ek, 111. She said it all the time.
So I started out working full time, and I, like you, had my dream job. I was at Harvard. I was a psychologist working there. That's what I kind of had been aiming for, and felt really lucky to have that position. And I had my second kid, and I just kind of hit a wall. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it, right? I think that's the narrative we have, that moms can't do it. I could. I didn't like who I was in doing it. And I didn't like how I was showing.
You know, especially for women, you know, raising children, of course, that's the biggest gift and blessing of all. Like, it goes without saying. But I think what we start to grapple with is our sense of identity. And I think every human, man or woman, you know, whatever, we need that, right? And as you age, you start to realize those are the questions you start to ask yourself internally, like, what's my legacy going to be? What's my legacy going to be to my family, to myself? You know, what have I been doing with my time? What's my self-worth? And I just
still remains. But what's so great about the Arid Source, she leaned into all those things. And she's done this her entire career. She's been criticized for things, but she doubles and triples down on what she's really good at, even though she's criticized for those things. So I think that was the underlying context, especially for her.
Then I'm not panicking because I feel that you're reflecting something about me that I don't like. And so I'll often repeat to myself as a parent, Khalil Gibran's line, you know, your children are not your children. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. And it sort of works for teachers too. Like, your students are not your students. They're just their own wonderful people who you're spending the days with. And the more we can create that beautiful separation between our own sense of our own self-worth and their struggles, I think we can help them with more regulation and just with a more open heart and with more compassion.
Each and every one of us has that special thing that we're very good at. Each of us has our box of tools that we know how to use in different places. I think that the instinct is to jump into the drama and just do what everyone's doing. But then I took back a moment. Like, just take a deep breath and see, where is your place to give from you? Because when it comes deep from within you and you know that you can help in that place, you can't stop once
My
it
experience
starts.
with resilience it's a very extreme and kind of different place. I don't have the luxury of thinking about not continuing with what I'm doing. I simply don't. When there are days that are difficult, when there are days, and I was communicating with a mom and
that features 3 ghosts that might be haunting you, undermining your confidence, undermining your ability to build the kind of influence that you need to accomplish the things that are really most important
when
to
you
you.
forge a partnership with someone, it is as involved, if not more so, than a marriage. And I've heard
It's
a
like a
lot
marriage.
of, right? It is a marriage.
It is.
I mean,
It's
in fact, you
work-wise.
two probably spend more time with each other than you do with any respective others. Talk a little bit about advice that you have for others who might be thinking about entering into a partnership, and what are the most important qualities that you looked for in a partner, and also advice for how you navigate things where you have a difference of opinion.
I will say, one key, I love Caitlin dearly, and we get along very well. So aside from that, just like on a practical,
I wasn't trying to start a fight, just to.
Oh yeah.
You won't. We know how to resolve it, so it's okay.
Good. Oh, good.
As leaders bring into our leadership role, we bring all of our past experiences, especially past relationship experiences with us. And those relationship experiences, and I say especially the ones that we have very early on in our lives with our caregivers, even when we're infants, those patterns that we develop, the expectations and beliefs that we kind of download into our brains are significant in the way that we show up as leaders. And we form these patterns very early.
Give much thought to the impact that gratitude has on your brain. Well, this week,
and for someone who has experienced a loss, the holidays can be, particularly difficult, I think. Maybe perspective and thoughts and advice on that.
Absolutely. And I know it's difficult. And, I think, what I've heard from so many grieving spouses is that many people don't include them in the holiday festivities because they feel, well, 2 things. They feel that, they will feel bad, but then they're afraid they'll bring down the mood. And so, when you enter this stage of life, it's very isolating because we're isolated already because no one can imagine what we're going
life. And that was something that was really important because I think too often today people see mentor or mentoring and they think that's how I get a job or advance in my career. To really be the well-rounded leaders that we want people to be, it's got to be a much more deep commitment and one that's really based on trust
This is
and
why
vulnerability.
investing makes me nervous. And it really goes back to what were those first memories of money? What is your first money memory? How was money talked about in your household or not talked about? How is it treated? This shapes who we are today with our money. Those core money memories stay with us for the rest of our lives.